LIP 2022 The Power of Perspective. Casting the lens on constructive solutions. As read by the Journalism Honours Class of 2022 at Stellenbosch University.
Surfing the Tides for Mental Health Strides by Téa Bell. South Africa is facing a youth mental health crisis, fueled by income disparity, exposure to violence, and high levels of substance abuse. This is according to Dr. Stella Magitimi, an expert in South Africa's child and adolescent mental health (CAMH) policy. The cycle is unlikely to break unless youth-focused mental health interventions are made more accessible to vulnerable communities, Magitimi told LIP. SA's Youth Mental Health Crisis. With children who come from environments where there are higher rates of crime, substance use, and abuse, it's not unlikely that we would see them exhibiting complex behavioral problems that lead to crime and violence in our society, said Magitimi regarding the social and economic stakes of failing to address the problem of CAMH disorders. Magitimi explained that parents of children with behavioral issues need to dedicate more time to that child to affect vocational performance and financial independence. That becomes a huge problem. It perpetuates poverty and economically adds a burden to the government, who needs to provide grants for these families and for these children, said Magitimi. Magitimi highlighted that children who need it the most are not afforded adequate access to mental health care. About 80% of South Africans do not have access to private health insurance and are dependent on state-funded services. This is according to a 2022 article published by Magitimi, Margaret Schneider, and Petrus de Vries in the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and Mental Health Journal. There is a lack of human resources and capacity for governments to provide these services, said Magitimi, adding that only 3 government-funded CAMH specialty facilities exist in the Western Cape. According to the latest statistics collected for the 2022 article, the overall prevalence of CAMH disorders is estimated to be at 17% in the Western Cape, explained Magitimi. She added that this figure likely understates the scale of the problem because it does not factor in infant mental health disorders, autism spectrum disorders, and certain neurodevelopmental disorders. Due to inadequate state provision of CAMH care, Magitimi emphasized that non-profit organizations, NPO, and non-governmental organizations, NGO, dedicated to providing such services are adding great value in solving SA's youth mental health crisis. Learning to ride the riptide. The community-driven NGO, Waves for Change, provides unique solutions for at-risk youth from impoverished communities through surf therapy, according to Tim Conybeare, who co-founded the Cape Town-based NGO in 2011 with his friend Apish Checha. Checha, who was born and raised in Masiphumelele Township, would go to Muizenberg Beach with Conybeare on weekends to surf. Conybeare explained that their weekly tradition soon grew into a small surf club as kids from Checha's community began to tag along. One of the reasons that the children came was obviously because they wanted to surf and have fun, but they also started talking about the sense of freedom that it brought them, recalled Conybeare. They had this escape and it provided a respite from the stress that they faced at home. Waves for Change has since grown into an organization with 5 hubs across the country, providing specialized mental health interventions to over 2,000 children a week, said Conybeare. We combine the physical activity of surfing with what we call a psychosocial curriculum that teaches children skills and behaviors to cope with stress and regulate their emotional responses, explained Conybeare. Therapy programs delivered by the NGO are designed with mental health care experts from tertiary institutions across the world, including the University of Cape Town, King's College London, and the University of Stirling, according to Tanya Mahavi, Relationship Manager at Waves for Change. However, Mahavi believes that what sets Waves for Change apart is not the scale of its impact, the high success rates of interventions, or its ties to tertiary institutions, but that the organization is community-driven and self-sustaining. The surf coaches who deliver the therapy sessions have either come through the program themselves or have grown up in similar communities to the children, said Mahavi. For kids who come from communities where mental health is stigmatized, being able to speak to a coach who comes from the same background, who rarely understands what they are going through and can help them with, say, a coping mechanism, I think that is impactful and valuable beyond any measure we could take, emphasized Mahavi. Passing on the surfboard. Mokitimi highlighted that a major constraint to the provision of therapeutic interventions is that there is no recognition of CAMH as a specialty area, so we are not able to attract human resources and add to the pool of clinicians and therapists. Connie Bay explained that Waves for Change offers unemployed South Africans between 18 and 24 a 2-year paid placement with the organization. They get trained to serve as coaches, lifeguards, and lay counselors. And of course, it's these coaches that provide the programs to the children, said Connie Bay. According to Mahavi, it is the most rewarding thing for them when children from Waves for Change go on to become coaches and mental health champions in their own communities.
You can read the full text of LIP 2022, The Power of Perspective, on www.multimedia.org.